Welcome to that Ivory Wall. Uh, we are now in part 11 of the Ivory Wall, our Berlin-based Vampire the Masquerade game. We are now one night away from the expected fall of the Berlin Wall and the arrival of David Hasselhoff, but there's been much going on in the past few evenings of this game, not least the recent immolation of several Toreador havens that had been tagged. Although how much of this has been put together by the protagonists is entirely down to them. Now, one thing I have to retcon before we start is I believe I had said that Karl Schweitz's bedsit had been tagged. I rechecked the footage, and that didn't happen. I've actually got a little log of the night party boy would have been tagging certain locations around Berlin, and on the nights that he was captured, he was actually saying to the protagonists, "Ah, yeah, I would have tagged your house as well if you'd given me time." But he never actually got around to doing it because they captured him on that night. So, just a brief retcon there. Schweitz has not had his little DOS house set on fire, unfortunately.
Right up you, party boy.
Yeah. So, is there anything? In fact, I would like the players to recap to a short degree. Eunice, over to you. What happened in the last session?
Last time, the session started with us coming into the Italo and Helga being there expecting us, and also Salvador Del Rey was there as well, who we originally went there to meet, and we had a little bit of trouble with Helga, to the point where Carl wound up killing her, and I gave Party Boy to Salvador de Rage to take to East Berlin to Gustav Breidenstein as kind of a tribute from me, so that he would grant me sanctuary, basically, as the wall goes down and whatever comes of it. Helga was talking about how she had been fixing up a meet between East and West in a single location, and that sort of thing, and we immediately thought that she's just trying to get everybody in the same place, and she's working with Party Boy, or actually that she's working for people who want, that she would be working with the Tremors of, was it Hamburg, in order to invade and take over Berlin after the wall had gone down and both sides would have basically destroyed one another. And when I talked to Salvador Del Rey about this, he told me to make sure that all this Tremere nonsense, is kept to ourselves, and only put forth the line that it was Helga working with Party Boy to basically to do this for an outside influence of some sort, but not to involve the Tremere in any way, even though we know that they were very much likely the ones behind this whole thing. But yeah, besides that, you did ask me on multiple times, am I giving Bruno as am I sending him with Salvador to the other side of the wall with Party Boy? And I declined that. I didn't want to take the risk of sending Bruno there, even though he might have looked after my investments, so to say. losing Party Boy and not getting anything in return would be nothing compared to losing Bruno and not getting to see him ever if they wound up not providing sanctuary for me. But yeah, after that, it was pretty much me and Schweitz going back to my apartment, and we spent the day there after this very dramatic thing that went down in the Italo. And then right as we woke up, the phone rang, and it was Marsha telling us that every single building that that Party Boy had tagged earlier has now erupted in flame, and she told us to hurry up into the Italo and meet her there. So the game again began with us opening the front door of the Italo and stepping in.
And John, is there anything that you wish to add to that?
The last episode was probably the biggest amount of exposition I had for my character. After eating his mother's face. So yeah, I got to explore some of his darker aspects. There's very little left to expose from him other than his naked form. But that's probably been out as well, to be fair. But no, I guess there's not too much more to add to Eunice's summation. But I actually felt that it was a good Carol Schweitz episode.
In that case, you arrive in the Italo, bursting through the doors with a certain sense of urgency, what with what you've heard about going down. Within, it's still early evening. You were summoned here, well, you were woken by the phone ringing, having been Masha, if you recall, and you came straight here, driven, I believe, by Klaus, as he was the only retainer that was to hand, essentially. And so you burst through the doors, and Klaus is busy parking up the car. The Italo is mostly empty, as it seems to be most of the time when you arrive, in fact, but because it's so early in the evening, but you have a feeling, judging from passing through the rest of the city, there is a pulse to Berlin right now. There is a beat, there is a feeling that's running through the streets, people staying out later, parties are ranging through the night and through the day. There is a feeling of expectation in the air, surrounding the wall, surrounding its imminent collapse. How can it not be collapsing in one night's time, or one day's time? It may well start during the day, in which case, of course, you will miss it. But so far, that party vibe hasn't hit the Italo yet, but soon, undoubtedly, it will. And whether it's Kindred in attendance here, or Kine, or a mixture of both, it's certainly going to get quite frenetic. So anything you need to discuss now with Masha needs to be discussed now. So yes, it's quite empty. Masha is in attendance there, and it seems that she's actually been waiting for you and perhaps others. Reinhard Schwesig is also here. He is currently talking to someone who you believe, well, you recognize, in fact, it's not someone you've ever had any interaction with before. It's a Bruja by the name of Gretchen Eberhardt. She is a representative of the Bruja Anarchs of West Berlin, and recognizable by her bright pink mohawk that she was apparently embraced with, and so she will have to bear that forevermore. But he is impassionately talking to her, expressing something, then directing her to go off, and she gives both of you a nod and leaves the Italo. At which point you are left here with Reinhard and Masha.
I would sprint to Masha and immediately go to her and frantically ask her, Masha, where's my dad? Where's Heinrich? Where is he? Do you know?
Calm down, Anna. Do not react. If you do need blood, do you need something to drink? I have some in store. Dieter sent some this way. Dieter is okay. He has survived. He is en route. He has made sure this place is stocked in case we need to hunker down. Do you need something to drink? Does Schweitz need anything to drink? Conveniently forgetting about everything he drank last night.
I'll immediately just sure, but could you just answer me about Heinrich?
Join me in this booth. She actually gives a nod over to Reinhard, and Reinhard kind of takes the door position, willing to greet or eject anyone who may enter. Her mortal staff don't appear to have been summoned or called for the day, or night. So she pulls you into a booth. She gestures for Schweitz to join you.
He heads over. He'll sort of have a look at Reinhardt. He's always been quite rude to him every time he's met him, so he'll probably give him a look and see what his kind of demeanour's like. But other than that, we'll just proceed over to the booth.
Reinhardt just gives you a rather cold stare. Just looks pretty much straight through you.
As per.
Hmm. Your sire, Anna, Heinrich. I have been unable to reach him. I have tried calling him. It is still early in the night. I have sent one of my very few retainers over to him. But there is nothing. I sent Jerry. You know Jerry. You met him. I sent Jerry to Heinrich's haven, the one I know. It's been guarded. During the day, it was on fire. There is no sign of Heinrich anywhere. That does not mean that he is not under the floorboards. I'm sure he was not just sleeping in a four-poster bed. But
Well,
he could be safe.
Masha, it's no problem. We'll soon find out. Just could I have that V-type, please?
Yes, of course. She gets up, moves behind the bar, pulls a bottle out from underneath it. It's marked up like a wine bottle, and in fact, there's a label upon which is handwritten a selective vintage. It's actually dated as, rather than produced from any vineyard on a certain date, it actually says born 1953.
How much could you get out of a bottle like that, or is it like such a fine vintage that I would dare only to take a sip or something like that? Or
she doesn't pour it to you in a shot. She actually pours it to you in a red wine glass. So you would probably be able to get a full blood point out of per glass.
Well, in that case, I don't even need to write it down because I'm spending it immediately, as I'm going to use summon to summon Heinrich here. That doesn't mean I get verification if he is alive or not, but at least the beacon is going to be sent out.
Okie dokie. Well, in that case, we're going to have to roll for your summon.
God. The devastating dice of Junus.
It's I don't think I can really summon much more other people than at this point my ghouls, my sire, and I would think Carl.
Yeah.
But
charisma and subterfuge. Difficulty 5.
Oh, okay. That's 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
So yeah, well, in that case, he will be rushing to you if he can.
Okay. So
Are you actually expressing that this is what you're doing? Essentially, are you going into a bit of a dead man pose, eyes rolling into the back of your head as you're summoning him? How does that look when you're doing it, or do you think it's purely reflexive?
I think it's not that freaky deaky, looking with like the eyes rolling back or something like that. It's I guess I would have like my eyes would be more closed and I would just look very concentrated and I would make like even though I don't think how many times I've said it. I don't need to take breaths, but I would take kind of like taking deep breaths or something, and I'd be like. Holding like my upper arms as I'm doing it and my head lowered a little bit and I would be like moving my lips, not letting out a sound but moving my lips in the formation of beckoning to Heinrich to please come to me, I need you now.
Marsha, in a rare show of affection, she actually puts her hand on yours. It's cold. Heinrich is my child, Anna. I have tried calling him, just as I have attempted to call the other Toreador of West Berlin here. So far, the only one I have actually been able to reach is Dieter, and that was on the phone. If they are still with us, then they will come. Unless there is something impeding them. Like, I do not know whether this entire operation was entirely to destroy, or whether there was a group of mortals armed with sharp pieces of wood. I do not know. But at this time, there is no Ursula, there is no Paola, there is no Hans, there is no Gunther. The only one I could reach, aside from the two of you, was Dieter Jürgens.
Excuse me. I'll be kind of taking a step back and finding myself a place to sit down, and I'm kind of kind of taken aback by this, and I'll kind of look like my mind is just wandering around as I'm kind of I realize Party Boy's motives stem from him being a Toreador himself towards the Toreadors of West Berlin like this, but in terms of just pure strategy, why the Toreadors specifically? Wouldn't there have been a better target to tag if there had been a limited amount of tagging to be done in this time or something? It's
all I can think is that of the clans in West Berlin, the two that show the most unity, the Toreador and the Tremere. We both hold loyalty to Ernst, Prince Ehrman, and either, well, someone is aware of this, and someone wishes to remove the Toreador from the picture, one of Prince Ehrman's biggest supportive blocks. While we are not necessarily vocal of it, we are all appreciative of Prince Ehrman allowing us to practice whatever we wish without camarilla infringement, even when sometimes the traditions may be put at risk by some of our excesses. See Gunther Lechtenbrink's recent display as an example. Prince Ehrman has always been accepting of that, even been devoted to the arts in a sense. We have certainly never required or desired Bridenstine to come over here with his jackboots and iron fists. But for now, we are if those that I cannot contact, if that is evidence that perhaps they have been destroyed, our family is, well, our unity is gone. There is nothing. I am now the eldest Toreador in the city, until at least Olaf, my sire, comes over from the east, if he intends to come back over.
Well,
I know from when we were in my secure haven the other night that you were talking of the Tremere. Do you have anything further on that?
not really. the only the only thing is that if Party Boy was Helga's agent in all this, if since Helga was herself a Toreador, it's it's most likely that she was working for an outside influence. Whether that outside influence has anything to do with the Tremere, that remains still cloaked in the dark. But at this point, since Helga and Party Boy are both out of the picture, it seems that we don't have a clear enemy to point a finger towards, really. And
If I were feeling hopeful or optimistic, I would say that the tagging the Party Boy has done, it was to signal mortal agents who have now carried out their task, and that is that. But that does not necessarily... It does not put us in a better position, does it?
mm,
If I was feeling pessimistic, I would say this is the first... This is the opening salvo of an invasion from the east.
How is this playing out across the standard news media? All these fires.
It is not... Well, it is a large amount of fires in one night, but Berlin is large and our havens have always been spread out. We do not share the same areas of the city. Each one of us is in a different part of West Berlin. So, yes, a spate of arsons in Berlin within one day and one night is, well, one day is unlikely. But who is to say they have been made to look like arsons? Who is to say they have not been made to look like accidents? How many house fires are there in a day? I do not have these statistics, Herr Schweit. I could not tell you how suspicious they look, but there is certainly no news broadcast. Everyone is concentrated on the wall. No one cares about a couple of houses going up in flames.
Good timing then.
Especially if there are no mortal casualties.
as I was thinking along the same lines as Mr. Schweitz here, as the wall is about to go down, there could easily be lots of news reporting about civil unrest, and then with the buildings going up in flames, it could be something where the Polizei might be invited in if people take this as vandalism and anarchy on the streets, putting buildings on fire and stuff.
We can
But
only
it-
work with what's
but
in
it's
front
not.
of us. The mention of, and he pauses for a moment, Helga. She's not working for anyone. Certainly she wouldn't have believed that. You know her better than that. I know her better than that. She was working for herself. In her eyes, at least. So, if she is involved in this, you have to consider what someone like her would stand to gain from being involved.
Well, she surely was building the whole idea of a meet between East and West in the same location, so
Do we know what the location was?
You do, and I don't mind reminding you. I'm not going to say you've forgotten. It was actually in the cellars of the Reichstag building, which has been abandoned pretty much since the Second World War.
So Carlo hit out with what's the status of the Reichstag building, and is the meeting still supposed to be going ahead?
I was told of this, of course, last night before the incident upstairs. But what with what happened, and word having spread pretty fast of Helga disappearing, I deigned not to attend, and indeed the anarchs of the city, or those who would feel somewhat disenfranchised with airmen, seem to be keen to congregate here, hence Reinhard standing waiting for his loyalists. To my knowledge, Ehrman is assembling the West Berliners in the Reichstag, but Schwesig seems more intent on doing it here. This is Elysium. I will not ban Schwesig from doing so in this place, but clearly he sees me as no threat to observing his meeting.
Also, there's the thing about not hearing about Oscar von Humboldt in a couple of days about his investigation in St. John's Rifle Word. He went to the church, I would imagine, after at the same time we went to Zünstorf a couple of nights ago, and we haven't heard from him yet because we haven't run into him at all. This whole keeping a low profile thing happened immediately afterwards.
Well, if he is anywhere, he would be at the Reichstag. He does not keep a permanent haven. He does not keep a permanent meeting place. He changes it every night, so there would be no point going back to where you met him before.
It's just that the events that took place in the church seem very
They were connected to Party Boy somehow. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, it's I don't know what, like, who could it be who's residing there, or what they could be affecting in any way, unless they would be the people lighting these buildings on fire or something. It's at this point I'm completely in the dark, having to do with whatever is in the church and what they have to do with anything.
Well, you can of course stay here for as long as you need to. Dieter should be arriving very soon, and of course other members of our clan will be, if they can make it.
Is it your intention to go to the Reichstag?
My intention is to stay right here and look after my Elysium. It's not safe on the street for Toreador. At least not by my reckoning. You can share the bottle. You can share the bottle and discuss amongst yourselves. I will be speaking with Reinhard.
I will. One of my boys is outside with the car. I'm going to have him get the rest of my boys, and I will have them scout the Reichstag so we don't have to leave this place.
Well, the telephone is on the bar. You can use it.
Oh, okay. Sure. I'll go to the telephone, and he's right outside the building, but I'll still call the car.
Well, we don't need to roleplay that, but you're basically speaking to Cloud, having him fetching the boys to scout out the Reichstag.
Yeah.
Are you leaving anyone outside the club?
No, it's get everyone. Everyone. I want Werner, Klaus, Bruno, Fritz, and Friedrich all there, and them to scout and do reconnaissance, and then inform me. They don't need to take any action that would endanger their own well-being, but I just want information. Even the knowledge of is anyone there, is it empty or is anyone there? That's better than no information,
Friedrich will be a bit of a tall order in getting to do anything, but the other four are, of course, more.
Oh, he's still reeling from
from your sensational success on Dreadgaze.
Yeah.
You've turned his dark hair white.
Oh.
You terrified him to that degree.
Well.
Oh well,
I didn't mean
to. Child. Carl, what are you up to whilst Anna's on the telephone?
He's pondering whether or not he should go to the Reichstag, to be honest. Essentially sitting looking pensive and enjoying a glass of the finest red.
It does actually taste very good.
Yeah, he's probably swishing it around in his mouth, starting to take notes on it, and then stopping and realising that he doesn't have to do that anymore. But then continues to do it anyway because he likes doing it. He keeps looking over at Schweizig, even though he's probably not even looking at him.
Reinhard is in conversation with Masha. It's not terribly animated. They don't seem to be at odds or anything like that. As they seem to be discussing, and Reinhard, in fact, does appear to be a little concerned and gives her a pat on the arm, a perfunctory pat. A couple of individuals walk in through the doors. One is best described as a sparkly-eyed, smiley, middle-aged man with a mustache that's most defining feature, the glisten in his eye and the mustache that goes all the way down to his chin. He looks a bit like a stage magician. Walks in, claps his hands together, goes over, Reinhard shakes him by the hand. The other one is a darker-skinned fellow. You'd probably put him as mixed race, probably German-Turkish. Dark curly hair, undone collar, looking a bit casual for the Italo. Goes over, does the same thing, same gesture to Reinhard. It's like some kind of socialist collective social club.
But these are definitely people we don't recognize from before.
You can do an intelligence plus politics. These aren't kindred you would interact with night to night, because Berlin is, of course, a very large city, and there's plenty of Bruja, Gangrel, Malkavians about. It's just that the Toreador largely keep themselves.
2 successes.
Oh, crap. 4, 1, 5, 1, 3, so 2 botches. Do I get a brain aneurysm?
They are Karl Schweitz, both of them.
They're all Karl Schweitz as far as the eye could see. That's like they were. I'm not going to make your botch do anything absolutely dreadful because, on the spur of the moment, for a change, I can't think of anything that would actually help play. But Schweitz, you get 2 successes, don't you?
Yeah.
In that case, you definitely recognize them by name, although you couldn't place them in clans. You recognize Thaddeus, that's the guy who's dressed up like a stage magician, practically, and Alexei Gehrig. He's the curly-haired guy with the undone shirt collar. You know they are.
I take it I don't have any sort of inclination to be worried about them turning up.
No, again, you don't know them beyond names. You've probably heard of them or seen them at some point and could just match them. Probably from Helga dropping in conversation, oh, there's this dreadful oaf, Thaddeus, often wears these sparkly sequins on his lapels, and that's about all you've got. Awful
Are they gathered together in the same area of the room?
It was Reinhard. Yeah. They're shaking hands. They're nodding. They're smiling at each other. Reinhard brings his fist into his palm, and they're generally making. Oh, glad you're here. Our community's getting together now. It's time to take action. Kind of stances. Everyone seems a bit animated now. Masha takes a leave from the three of them after exchanging pleasantries and walks back over to the bar.
I'm going to deploy honor perception, see what I can get from them.
Okay.
This is difficulty 8.
Now I need to ask a question. Salvador did tell me that that I would have to wait. Was it a day or 2 days, or how long did he say that I would have to wait for him to?
I believe he said he'd get back to you as soon as possible.
Okay.
I don't think he could set a time, which is probably right, given that there is still a great big Berlin Wall between you. But yeah, I don't think he gave you an exact time or location.
One success is one colour.
I'm not going to do colours, I'll just say what emotions you're picking up. There is an aura of excitement surrounding all three of them, which isn't terribly difficult to detect, seeing as their faces are betraying that feeling as well.
Alright. So, I'm going to rise from my seat and go over and stand near the door. And sort of look contemplative and such, but I'm going to attempt to listen in to what those damn anarchs are talking about.
As you walk over to the door, it opens, and through it comes Dieter, who is looking in a state of some irritation. And so he casts about, looks left and right, then he sees you there. Karl.
Dieter.
Nice to see you made it. He walks past you and over to Masha.
I didn't say anything to him. On he goes.
So you're still going to be listening in on the conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, let's do a good old perception and alertness.
With heightened senses, thank you very much.
Well, if you're more interested in reading
really
body
loud
language,
here?
if you're more interested in using body language, use empathy.
No, I'm just going to listen to what's actually being said.
Okay.
So this will be difficulty 4 because -2 for heightened senses. Perception alertness is pretty good for me. Okay, here we go. Oh, that kills one. 4 successes.
4 successes. Okay, well, you can pick up Thaddeus isn't speaking particularly quietly, and he refers to Reinhard as sire.
Mm-hmm.
They are all discussing the fact the wall is coming down. The first blow has been struck. This is Reinhard now bringing his hand down into his palm. The first blow has been struck. The loyalist Toreador have been wiped clean from the map, if what Masha says is anything to go by. We cannot allow this to stand. The Camarilla has dug its claws into this city for too long, and now it is going to tear it apart. It is time for a better way for Berlin. It is time for total revolution. And he's getting nods and agreement.
Carl tries his best not to respond to that, just continue to sort of look pensively out into the street and listen.
You can you hear Alexei responding. Yes, I agree, Reinhard. But it can be bloodless. We do not need to shed more blood. We do not need to bring anyone to final death. We should give everyone the opportunity to stand down. This should be a revolution brought about by discussion, through coercion if needs be, but not through violence. Nonsense! Those who stand in our way need to feel that what they are doing is wrong. You know that there are so many kindred in this city that will not learn without a firm beating, and some of them have had a beating far overdue.
I don't dare take part in any of this. Actually, I had a lot of things I would say if they were fellow Toreadors, but since there's now there's more Malkavians here than Toreadors, it seems, or at least it feels like when you listen to the conversation going on. And since I'm getting kind of anxious about, or not kind, I'm getting very anxious about the safety and well-being of my sire. I'm not feeling that enthusiastic to take part in the conversation. Also, even though I may have a lot of things to say, I don't want anyone to start thinking I might be a sympathizer for the East or anything like that, especially since I kind of am.
Their talk swiftly turns to how they're going to implement their plan. Reinhard cuts them off at that point and says, for that we need all of the Anarch representatives, each of the clan representatives for each of the Anarch branches to be here. We cannot make decisions without them. We need unity. At the very least, the movement needs to be unified, if not the city itself. And Dieter is now walking over to Anna with Masha. Anna, I'm glad you made it out. My haven was raised. Thankfully, I make my quarters in the cellars, which have remained mostly preserved, but I cannot speak for the damage the heat might have done to some of the vintages.
I'm glad to see that you're all right, though. I'll have to ask you to excuse me for not being perhaps on top of things as much as I normally would, since the things have escalated to the point that they have.
My child, the first place I checked was Paola's offices. When she wasn't working there, she was sleeping there. Completely gutted. I could not spend long before heading here, but I could find no trace of her in her usual sleeping quarters, just so much ash, and how to tell the difference between ash and ash. And my sire still missing, from what I understand, whether she was struck first last night or the night before, or whether she's in hiding, I do not know. I'm not close to her, you understand, but an entire branch of her family, but for Carl and I. We need to stick together, Anna. Carl is still a fledgling. The two of us, we've got some decades on us. Masha is still responsible. She is still the primogen. We cannot turn tail and flee just because it seems the city is against us. If we go together. If we stay together.
You have no idea how divided we already are. So, Marsha is not only the primogen, but she's also the elder here.
Well, with my sire, wherever she is, yes, indeed, she is now. Masha is our elder.
Not just now, she is the only one. Figured you'd better hear it from me than wherever you'd hear it very soon after anyways. Party boy. Sit down, please, Dieter.
Of course. He has a black bag, like a doctor's bag, that folds out to be a lot broader than it looks, and from it he actually pulls a bottle of wine and a glass. You catch a glimpse that this one is born 1938, and he pulls himself a glass and just starts drinking quite quickly. What is it?
I look, visibly troubled by what's going on, possibly with my sire and with what I'm about to tell him, and I put my hand on top of his hand, and I'll say, Party Boy was he was of your blood. Party Boy was a discarded, or a more or less discarded plaything of Helga's, and through interrogations and through confrontations, and have brought so many confessions in front of witnesses to all these things to light, that Party Boy was directed Party Boy is and was Helga's creation and her agent, acting under her direction. And Helga admitted to this. That is
while you've been speaking, he's been looking into his glass, and as you say Helga admitted to this, he actually looks up at you, and his eyes take a shade, so they darken as he stares at you.
Most clearly trying to see if I'm lying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say that when she was provoked hard enough, she lashed out and shouted down on all of us, and especially on Carl, since he is her child, and
you seem nervous telling me this. Do you expect me to lash out, to frenzy, to...
I know that your relationship with Helga was not a healthy one, let's say, or in good terms, but so I'm nervous with all of this happening. My sire, I have no idea if my daddy is alive or not. I'm waiting on, every minute feels like an hour waiting for a confirmation either way, and I just felt that telling you this right now would be better for you to hear it from me straight away as soon as you arrived here than for me to avoid the subject and then you hearing it secondhand from someone who might not even be of your own kin.
Does Carl know?
Yes, Masha knows as well.
So both Party Boy and Helga are no longer with us. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying.
Well, then a toast to the two of them. For the time they had.
This is no light matter, as you can see, the clan is shriveling down to a peck of dust. There's how many of us can be confirmed that are to be left? It's at this point I would welcome a crooked backstabbing clan member to no clan member at all.
Well, I wish I could promise you good to Lechtenbrink, but I suspect he is gone as well. am not a diplomat or a warmonger or a warrior, Anna. If war is about to hit Berlin, I never fought in any kind of war. I am not going to bare my fangs and my claws and dive onto someone and try and tear them to shreds. I would not survive more than a single heartbeat. Whatever way this city goes, I will be going with it. I will not be fighting the tide. I would strongly suggest that you do the same and act out of self-preservation. I can say quite honestly that diplomatically I have never made... Oh dear. I have never made enemies beyond my sire. I have never fomented dissent between vampires. It's not what I'm interested in. So, I'm confident that whatever follows, I will be able to survive it. Can you say the same? Have you made enemies of anyone?
No, I haven't made enemies of anyone that I know of. I was just about to profess that I'm on the same lines with you, and I hope that I can still see as many as I possibly can of the people I care about after this whole thing is over. It's just that we have people there in that direction talking about armed resistance and actual attacks against the East, because the East will no doubt, if they didn't put these locations to flame, they will most likely exploit the circumstances. So people are talking about this sort of action, and like you said, I just want me and the people I care about and my family to live through it.
Hmm. So it becomes an issue of placing bets on who is the most likely victor. Prince Aemon is severely weakened without Toreador political support. We may not have been willing to fight in the streets. None of us could have done that terribly well. But we would have been able to persuade people with other gifts to flock to our banner. That is a gift that is sorely lacking in any of the other families or clans within this city. We were the ones who could persuade kindred to flock in a certain direction. The Ventrue of the East can, of course, do the same. The Bruhar of the city are too interested in hitting things to care about the social power struggle.
I can't even think about any. I can't even think about any specific forces we could align ourselves with, especially since, well, I have no idea how powerful of an influence, really, in concrete terms, the Tremere hold in the West, and how well they would be entrenched to defend West against East. Because if it becomes simply a revolutionary fight using force, I would tip the favor to East and Bridenstine's ferocity and ruthlessness. But when it comes to influence, if the Tremere are well enough entrenched to the West, way may very well live. It's simply Tremere tend to look after Tremere's interests. So.
But are the Tremere interests not in the West? Gustav Bridenstine famously despises the Tremere.
Yes.
He staked a Tremere Justicar once. cut his limbs off and sent him back to the inner circle, they say, as a trunk in a trunk.
I know. I sent all of my boys to check out a building where Helga said that she had uh, where she had invited the members of West Berlin and East Berlin to meet under one roof, which sounded very much like a way too convenient of a location and circumstance to spring a trap on them.
Especially if she was in league with Party Boy. If only the other kindred of the city had known that. So did you only find out last night?
Yes, that was part of her rant when she went off on a tirade at us, in which she confessed a lot of her plans and actions here. That is why I felt. That is
I'd
why.
like to make a proposal that I suspect you've already agreed with Anna. That no matter what, the two of us and Carl as well, we do not go to the Reichstag. If it is some grand plan, some grand ambush, we need to survive. We have to survive. And if the East take over, then we fall in line with the East. If the Anarchs take over, we fall in line with the Anarchs. We ride the wave, Anna. Let your boys watch what happens, but I do not feel it would be best for us to get any more involved in the politicking for this city. We have been struck a blow. It would be conceited for us to believe or to proclaim that it was anything other than devastating. We should accept that we were struck in a deadly fashion. Was your haven targeted?
Actually, it was not. It's one of those places, just as Karl Schweitz's haven, that Party Boy said that he was going for next. He did tag my my feeding grounds, my club.
Maybe he thought that you stayed there.
Could very well be. That's one of the places I spend most of my times before all of this went down, and I had to spend most of my nights in the field, so to say. But yes, this is my boys are in first priority out to simply scout and do reconnaissance. I simply want to know if there's even anyone in the Reichstag. It's I don't plan to take any part in any of this. It's as long as I have my family with me, I'm good. Even if an atomic bomb would go off, and if we would make it, I'm still fine with it. Well, that didn't come off right.
So you somehow miss the sound of the telephone ringing, but you see Masha gesturing you over to the bar.
Oh, I'll immediately say, "Excuse me," to
She has the receiver on her shoulder.
I'll look at her and with a questioning look, you know.
One of your boys. I've still heard nothing from Heinrich, I'm afraid.
I'll grab the phone and I'll like really like hunch over, and not to like obfuscate what I'm doing or saying or anything like that. I'm just anxious, and I'll just say yes.
Are you okay, little one? Are you well? Bruno and Klaus have said about what is going on. Are you fine?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm not the problem. I'm fine. I'm not the one to be worried over. As long as you are all fine, it's the only thing that really matters at this point to me. It's well, of course, Heinrich is he's still missing in action. I can't get any sign out on him, but uh, where are you? Where are
Fritz is
you? What's
doing
been
the
going on?
rounds. We are near the Reichstag. I am I'm in a public telephone booth with view of it. It's still fenced off, but there is definitely activity in there. Fritz has done a very good job of reconnaissance, but they have watchmen outside. Uh, I do not feel we can get too close, but there are definitely your kind immortals.
Very well. That's very good, Werner. That's all the information I really needed. I don't want you to risk your own safety any further than this. Gather everyone up and come back to the Italo.
Fritz, just before I hang up, little one, Fritz did recognize one of them, the bearded man with the dark skin. He referred to him as the Prince. Uh, I suppose you may have made way for introductions before, but Fritz,
Yes,
Fritz
thank
explained
you.
it.
You'll explain everything further than that here. Get here as quickly as possible and get everyone. Make sure you're safe. Make sure you're safe.
Of course, little one. We will make our way there with haste.
I love you.
The club, while all of this has been going on, is actually now fast filling up. Mortals are arriving. There's no doormen.
And there's no John. So I was just thinking that can we?
Well, on Facebook, he said he's restarting the PC.
Yeah, but if you're gonna be describing like what's going on in the club, he's gonna be there. So
In that case, we will maintain a little bit more of what's going on between you and Marsha and Dieter, if indeed anything. Marsha actually looks to you. The Reichstag?
Herman is there, and the building is guarded by our. It's filled to the brim with our kind, and Ernst Herman is there, and it's guarded. I told my boys to get here because I don't need to know anymore. It's guarded. It's dangerous, and Herman is there. So this is a highly risky undertaking that he's dived right into.
It's a crisis meeting, a war council. He obviously feels that the best way to get the kindred on side is to get them all in one place. I can.
Except if the building happens to have a spray tag on it, and it goes up in flame in a little bit of a delay compared to the other buildings.
Well, meanwhile, elsewhere in the club, as all of this has been going on, as Anna has been on the phone to her boys, has been deep in discussion with Dieter, and now just deep in discussion with Masha, the club itself has been filling up quite readily with Kine, for whom the music has been turned on, drinks have started to flow. There is a 24-hour party atmosphere going on here. Lots of people in denims, lots of guys and gals with bleached haircuts and cut-offs and jackets. Everyone is pretty damn excited about what's going to follow in the next couple of days. And why on earth should the drinking stop? You over here, both of you, especially Carl, no one's intending on going to work tomorrow. Everyone is going to be either glued to the TV or they're going to actually be stood at the wall. People are talking about starting barbecues there. They're going to be bringing kegs. The wall has now all of a sudden become a place that's not a terrifying bastion of the Cold War. It is no longer this dividing line upon which you may be shot. It is going to be the largest location, largest party piece in the city, and a part of you realizes, you know, the Toreador of Berlin would have really loved this. They would have really got off on this had they not all been gone. Among the Kine assembling, there are more kindred who are going up to Reinhard Schleswig. He and his crew, which now numbers 8, have sat themselves around a round table, appropriately enough, near the corner of the dance floor. And they're still speaking in incredibly hushed tones, despite the loudness, the volume of the music, the freneticness of the movement of people right now. But it's a real cavalcade, a real collection of oddballs and weirdos sat around that table. You've got punkish-looking people. You've got someone who looks like he's walked out of a Duran Duran video. You've got Reinhard himself, who looks like a bit of an escaped convict. You've got a stage magician. This is a real bizarro group, and I suppose, as is often the case, this makes up the anarchs of Berlin. But from what you've picked up, Carl, Reinhard is particularly interested in meeting with the anarch appointees of each clan, and as I say, there's 8 kindred there, and they are all now engaged in deep and heated discussion that you're probably not going to be able to hear across the dance floor.
And I don't want to activate heightened senses with all this loud music either. Alright, Carol will drag himself over there. He, to be honest, wants to be apart from everyone. But all this talk of unity is going to drag him back eventually. When he arrives over there, he says, "It's getting busy in here."
You're doing that over on the anarch table? Or
No, I'm going to head over to where Masha and Anna are.
Ah, okay. Thought you were about to say it to Reinhard and interrupt his meeting. Fair enough. So you go over to Anna's booth, where Dieter is speaking heavily. Anna has just got off the phone. Masha is now sat with them as well, because the barman has arrived, turned up for duty. So the U4 Toreador, possibly the 4 remaining Toreador of Berlin. Still no sign of Heinrich, or at least of West Berlin. So, Masha says, as Primogen I can command that we do something, but I could hear what Dieter was saying. We do nothing, we ride the wave, we don't fight it. Whatever happens in the city we allow to happen as long as we survive.
Carol chimes in. Well, the anarchs don't seem to be intending to do that.
But we are not anarchs. We are Camarilla. We stay away and maintain the traditions.
So we shouldn't consider that they're probably about to try to stage some kind of coup, with the sounds of it.
Carl, I just got off the phone with my boys, and they confirmed that the Reichstag is filled to the brim with kindred, and Ernst Ehrmann is there. I told them at that point to come here immediately, but the meat is definitely going down.
Fresh meat. Well, I maybe should go along. One of us should hear what's being said.
At the Reichstag?
Yes.
If it is a trap, Mr. Dieter, if it is a trap, you will be, of course, walking right into it.
If there is a trap, then... And Carl just kind of shrugs his shoulders. What real difference? What real difference will it make if I get trapped in it?
I'll look at Carl and I'll walk close to him and I'll speak in a hushed tone so that others won't hear, and I'll be asking him, why are you doing this?
It sort of just looks down at the ground. Says, one way or another, we have to know what's happening.
No,
We're not going to find out. We're not going to find out anything sudden here.
No, that's not really what I mean. I mean, why are you so eager to leap into this danger, this life-threatening situation like that? You're clearly still shaken over last night, but don't please don't act like you have a death wish.
All of this stuff that's going on is much, much bigger than me. That much is clear.
But I can't pretend to understand the strength of the bond that you had, but because I've never experienced it, I don't want to pretend to understand it. But I don't want you to think that since it's been severed that you're without purpose or without place, because you definitely are more worth more, and you're definitely more desired by our side than to be used as a crash dummy to throw your life away.
He just shakes his head. I'm already dead anyway. I might as well be useful.
I'll just rub his shoulder a little bit and just give him a look, and then I'll walk back to, or sit back to the spot I was before. I don't want to like try and force him to not do what he wants to do, but still, yeah.
Very well. In that case, it's time to split the group.
Split the party!
Well, we haven't done that in quite a while now, actually, since I think the church. So, first we're going to deal with the pilgrimage of Karl Schweitz. Karl, you getting a taxi and heading straight to the Reichstag?
Yeah, why not?
You push your way out of the Italo, which is now packed to heaving. The music is going boom, 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 boom. It's pounding. Everyone is absolutely getting down and getting with the music, and has really absorbed that party atmosphere. Again, it feels like, as large a woman as Helga was, as up herself as she was, this is the kind of thing that makes a Toreador's pulse pound. And if the four of you weren't so drenched in melancholy at this point, you can imagine that this would be a feast, that this would be a jumping buffet. As it is, you can't wait to get out and into the cool night air where it hits you like a wall, refreshing, tingling against your skin. As you step out into the road, this road that not so long ago you chased a mortal out into, who got struck by a car, a mortal who may have been able to answer so many of these questions, and since his death, you've just fallen down a rabbit hole, and this is where you've wound up. You can still see the exact spot at which he was killed. You can actually still see some police tape that's just blown away and stuck in the gutter. Where young Johnny met his end.
Tasty, Johnny.
A taxi pulls up. Where to, pal?
Oh my God, a Scotsman. Carol just sort of slump into the chair in the back of the taxi. Say, Reichstag, please.
Bit late for tourist attractions, isn't it, mate?
It looks nice at this time of night.
You're the boss.
He laughs at the irony of that statement. It's definitely the first person that's told him he's the boss for quite some time.
Yeah, you driven to the Reichstag. Berlin appears to have emptied out in this time. West Berlin does not have anyone inside houses, working inside offices late. The police are out in full force. Most people who are eating in restaurants are eating outside just because of that atmosphere that's outside. There is such a hum to this city right now, such a hum of life and vitality and vitality. Everything is so pulsating with health and excitement, and somehow it just doesn't permeate the cab. Somehow, while you can observe all of this, you can watch it all through the window, you can't touch it, you can't get involved in it, you can't feel it. You just feel like you're hermetically sealed away from everything that's going on. Like the events of the last night, perhaps even the last week, have deadened you so completely that these happy, frolicking mortals just don't know the real hell that exists in this world, and you've been experiencing it nightly. You arrive at the Reichstag. I'll be 20 marks, please.
Carl sort of fumbles about in his pocket, produces probably more than 20 marks. He's quite a generous, soft-hearted sort of guy.
Do you want to do a return trip, or are you staying out here?
Says, no, I'll probably need a lift later.
You've given me a 50, I'll keep the 50 and I'll keep the engine going.
Carol just sort of pats him on the shoulder and says, probably in a way is almost touched by someone who is just sort of helping him, even though he's been well paid to do so. Carol just sort of smiles at him and just says, thanks a lot.
You might be wondering why I'm out there enjoying the night's entertainment with everyone else. Let me bend your ear for just a second as we enjoy the car journey in peace. When the wall went up, I was just a young man then. I was only 20, just married. My wife worked on that side of the wall, I worked on this side. Let's say that it did more than just divide us. It divided us between life and death. She died 20 years ago now. 25, in fact. Don't have much taste for the East, myself. As far as I'm concerned, it can stay on that side of the wall. But, you know, miserable cab driver. Sorry, just needed to get it off my chest. Nice to see someone else who doesn't get caught up in all this bullshit.
Carl just nods his head and sort of smiles as empathically as he can. But yeah, as you say, he feels quite removed from all this. Even the story that the man tells him, it glides over him. Like water off a duck's back. He just sort of appreciates the moment, but no more. When they arrive, he'll just very quickly get out and make his way towards the impressive structure.
Yes, the Reichstag, which is indeed an impressive structure, despite Hermann Goering's attempts to burn the whole thing down and blame it on a Jewish communist prior to the Second World War. Still it stands. Still it stands, despite the repeated bombing during the bombing of Berlin. Still it remains. However, it remains a hollow shell. The Reichstag has not been inhabited by the government of West Berlin, who are based in Bonn. This is just a bit too close, and of course it's in eastern Germany. It doesn't help things too much. So you are, on one hand, this is the first time you've ever seen the Reichstag with light emanating from around it. Sometimes it is hired out for private functions, costs an awful lot to do it, but the number of guards in attendance would seem to imply there's some kind of celebrity here. It's entirely not in keeping with the masquerade that you know. There's cars parked around the block of various opulent design, many of them appearing to be imported, a couple of motorcycles as well. And judging by the number, there's at least 20, maybe 30 people in there. To a mortal passing by, if anyone was partying around this part of the city, they may well be driven to wonder whether this is where the Hof is coming to prepare his grand entrance, or maybe this is where the politicians are making their plans, or other celebrities or camera crews or whatever are intending on starting their documentaries for the opulent night to come. But you, of course, know that this is just another den of dead bodies where they're planning on making plans for the city that the mortal residents of which will never know.
Is there any sort of visible place where I'm supposed to go, like an entrance? In fact, can I see those two doormen? They normally follow the prince about, don't they?
Unfortunately, those two doormen, not that you will know it at this point, went up in flames. But
well.
You will. That happened during the day. But yeah, you don't know that. No, you don't see those two, quite strangely, the two Turks. But you do see the method of entrance. Plenty of security walking about the place, patrolling. Most of them, by the look of it, in order. But one of them sees you, unless you're aiming to be entirely discreet.
Carl's not sort of pensive or anything at this point. He's maybe going to like take a quick scan of the neighbourhood as he walks over, see if anyone's paying particular attention to him, or if there's any like large gangs of werewolves waiting to jump in there and kill everyone. Other than that, he's not particularly bothered. He's more interested in getting in and finding out what's being said.
I did have that message to me by one of our viewers, by the way, just as a brief out-of-character moment, that werewolves are behind all of it. I can assure you all at this point, werewolves are not behind it.
That's really not their MO, is it? They would have just killed everyone.
Yeah.
Political scheming, you say? No.
A small lady with silver hair. She's quite thin, quite wrinkled. Looks like she's probably in her 60s or 70s. Looks over to you. Halt!
Carol gives her the eye. Ooh, success.
Let me look at you.
Yeah, he's looking at her. He didn't see him.
You're both staring at each other.
Yep. There's a beautiful moment that passes between the two of them as they eye each other up. Is she kindred or a ghoul? Or?
She's a ghoul. You can tell that, and she is determined. That is her emotional state at this point.
Yeah, that's fine. It was more to get what she was.
She succeeds as well in identifying you.
All right.
You are late. You can go straight in. Downstairs, right-hand staircase, left one has collapsed.
Carol just walks in. And takes the staircase, which has been pointed out to him.
You arrive into what is essentially the equivalent of, I suppose, it can't have been that different to a beer hall and a certain putsch that was going on several decades ago. You have airmen at the front of class, essentially, with everyone stood or sat before him on camping chairs and by camping tables or on camping tables, leaning against walls, everyone listening to him quite intently as he is making quite a song and dance of a rally about how West Berlin must stand tall, how we cannot allow our fractures among our number to allow us to fall beneath Bridenstine's jackboots, that he will be coming soon and that we must defend our liberties, we must defend our rights, we must defend our territory. We cannot allow him to allocate it all to us, to carve up this city by his own whims, for when he does so, the Gangrel will get nothing, the Malkavians will get nothing, the Toreador will get nothing, and the Tremere especially will get nothing. This is what he is pounding his fist into his hand with every single pronouncement, and you've never actually really witnessed in fact, you've never witnessed Airman delivering a speech to the city before beyond your first night in the city when you were introduced to him, and that was a much more subdued affair.
Carl muses to himself that he looks very similar to Schweizig at this moment. Doesn't say that out loud, but he thinks about it.
As Airman rallies and rages, it's almost like his hair is getting increasingly frizzed up, as if it's getting increasingly messy, his beard is getting more and more bushy, his features getting more and more animalistic, and a couple of the kindred near the front of the stage are actually taking a couple of steps back. He is a genuinely awe-inspiring and dread-inducing figure. Whoever taught this Gangrel how to project is certainly worthy of the pay that they undoubtedly got, because plenty of kindred are nodding, and in fact you see a number of kindred all kind of nodding in sort of parallel symmetry around the room, people just agreeing with each other. Could you do Could you do a, I think we'll go for willpower roll, please, based on current willpower.
Have I lost any?
I can't remember if you spent any.
I don't think so. I don't normally do that, but well, I'll roll. Yeah. Oh, not my best. Actually, no, I'm telling a lie. It's pretty good. 4 successes. If not for those ones, that'd have been ridiculous.
You and several others aren't doing the nodding. Some of them are looking around, realizing, okay, so there's a few that they're noticing there's a bit of mind control going on here, and one person, I'll say you actually recognize them. You've got several kindred you recognize here, including Otto, who you encountered on the upper floor.
Is the sheriff here?
Yes, Oscar von Humboldt is there.
Is he nodding?
He is nodding away. Shua, the rather somewhat androgynous harpy, is looking very pensive. Her eyes are narrowed. And she actually sees you and does this.
What, like, look behind you sort of thing?
No, she's stood a few steps away from you rather, but no one who is looking at Airman is paying any attention to anyone else that is in this auditorium.
Carl just sort of nods to her, but makes it very plain that he's nodding to her rather than just nodding, and then sort of again continues listening. He starts scanning the room to see who hasn't fallen under the thrall and sort of makes a mental note of who they are.
You can see that Joanna Richter is in the front row. She's not nodding in line with everyone else. Otto is. Jen Schwangau, the Gangrel Primogen, is. Albert Prendergast, don't think you've ever met him, but he is. Schuler is not. Oscar von Humboldt is. You can recognize a very well-dressed, severe-looking man with very immaculately and perfectly waxed blonde hair all to one side. Looks like he's been hit by some wind, and it's
He lives in Shetland. Yeah, the wind.
completely angled his hair. He has a white and black jacket on, and bears rings over his fingers. He has got his arms folded. He appears to have his own retinue surrounding him, this man. But you don't know who he is. You've never seen the guy before. There's a couple of others who you don't recognize. A woman who has the physique of a bodybuilder. She's got her hands on her hips, looking a bit unimpressed and a little confused. There's clearly a punk, spiked, bleached blonde hair, who is actually shaking her head and is mouthing, "No, no, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fight your war for you." Although her voice isn't carrying any louder than Airman's. So, in all of the 30 people or so, there's about 5 or 6 who are actively or passively resisting Airman's presence or domination, as it may be.
It sounds like Majesty to me, but Carol doesn't have V20, so he just continues observing. Really, he's there to listen. He's not there to talk.
At this point, Airman brings his finger down. Bridenstine will be crossing the wall. Not tonight, but tomorrow night. We know where he will cross. We know the retinue that he will have with him. We have a mole in his camp, and when he crosses, we will fall upon his train. We will destroy it. We will finally put that corrupt Ventru into the ground where he belongs, and then we will have peace talks with his Nosferatu scum friends and the rest of the surviving Ventru, and then we will have a unified Berlin, but not before. There cannot be a unified Berlin whilst Bridenstine still stands. At which point there is a general cacophony of "yeah, yeah." There's no salutes or anything like that, but there is some stamping of feet in agreement, general noise emerging from the cellar. Again, those of you who were resisting before will still be resisting at this point.
Carol takes a sidelong glance at Schuler again.
Schuler is making a beeline for the exit.
He's not going to go that far. He just kind of like notes that. Actually, well, he's going to look and see if anyone's noticing that she's leaving. Whatever.
Do a perception alertness. There's quite a few people in here, and it's quite dark.
Oh my stars.
Oh my.
7 successes.
Okay, Joanna Richter has definitely cottoned onto the fact Schuler is leaving, and you see her make a sort of almost baseball coach style tell.
Just shuffles her hat a little bit and spits out some tobacco.
Yeah, scratches her crotch.
Yeah. I knew you were that woman from the fetish club.
She taps her arm twice, and as you've got such a fantastic success on your perception, you notice one of the bodybuilder, the woman with the build like a bodybuilder, actually turn around and leave after Schuler.
Okay. So I'll just note that occurrence, but I'm going to hang around.
You're hanging around. Okay. In that case, what happens next is quite dramatic. You could have missed this, but instead you will not. The man in the black and white jacket, by black and white jacket, what I mean is to say it's not a suit jacket, it's I suppose bomber jacket is the best way to describe it. So he looks a bit, he looks quite modern, except for the clean-cut haircut. Looks like he should be in advertising or something like that.
Mhm.
But the bejeweled rings on his fingers give him away, along with, now again, with the dramatic perception success that you got. You can see that he actually has tattoos on the back of his hands. I will ask for an occult and intelligence.
I don't know if I've got
You
occults.
have occults.
Let's find out. It's a knowledge,
Although you
isn't
do
it?
have conspiracy theories.
Yeah, but I didn't put that down as occult.
No.
I think I put that as politics. Uh, I do not have occult, but I do have intelligence. If it's a historical thing, I have academics.
Yeah, all right.
Uh,
I'll give you academics, but I'll give you academics at 1 die less.
Oh, that's backed out. I only have 1 dice, so you're
right.
killing my academics. God damn it!
You get 1 die.
Academics.
All right, so it's intelligence plus academics.
So well, it's 4 dice.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Good successes. Well. Okay, you recognise what appear to be geometric symbols on the backs of his hands. You'd associate it with perhaps the Freemasons, who you'd understood had actually been drummed out of Germany quite a long time ago.
Did I not encounter a similar symbology in the church?
You did indeed. Well remembered.
Okay, Carl's interest is piqued suddenly. Is this guy standing near the sheriff?
No, he and his retinue are moving towards the front now.
Are his retinue...
And von Humboldt doesn't appear to be reacting to any of this.
Are his retinue any of the people I recognise from the church? Like any of the homeless people or that?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, I'm going to... Could I quickly try to aura perceive that little mob?
Yeah. you can give it a go.
It's very unlikely, but oh no. Okay, I got 2.
Okay.
Are they mortals? Those guys, by any chance?
No, they are all vampires. There's 6 of them, and specifically the leader of which. Let's actually find the color chart now.
Let's go to the Dulux chart. I've got it in front of me right now.
I'm just looking for the emotions that are actually listed on it. He has got an aggressive purple aura, vibrant purple. It's practically electric. It's buzzing around him, and those of his retinue are the same. Joanna Richter, you think, notices the same thing, because she steps back and allows them to take the stage. This takes Eamon completely by surprise. He wasn't expecting someone to jump up onto the stage with him, and yet now there's 6 people and this bomber jacket-clad waxhead stood there. Prince Eamon, you have been found lacking in your duties as Praxis. Eamon doesn't give the vampire time to continue with his spiel, and his hands begin to swiftly grow, contort, and claw as he lunges for him. One of the vampires in the bomber jacket's retinue actually attempts to dive in the way. There is all of a sudden a frisson of movement, a blur of celerity, this smash of potent. Vampires are now starting to exit at speed. No, you're not sure who this is what's going on exactly, but quite a few of the vampires in attendance certainly don't want to be around for whatever the outcome is, especially if frenzy is on the cards, because Ehrman, when he frenzies, is known to be somewhat, shall we say, bloodthirsty for vitae. Von Humboldt snaps out of his reverie and actually goes to the side of his prince. How long are you going to stand and watch all of this go down?
He'll probably be bustled if you went towards the door, but he'll try to kind of turn back and get a look at what's actually taking place.
Roll and a strength to withstand the tide of charging kindred.
Not my best. Wait a minute. Yep. Okay. No, I get dragged away. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you have one perception and alertness.
This, on the other hand, is a good dice pool. I'm going to definitely be using heightened senses to increase my chances here, which means that that's what happens. 5 successes.
5 successes. Okay, well, because you've been dragged away, I'm not letting you see what you wanted to see. You don't get to see what's going on the stage. What you do get to see is Richter and the Tremere, who are around her, are going up to the stage as well, and in fact, stood in their positions. They are incanting. They are... You've never seen the like before. It's as if they're casting or channeling some kind of spell.
Are they wizards? What is this?
But then you are bustled up the stairs, and you're on the ground floor of the Reichstag by the time the crowd loosens and starts to pour out.
Celerity happens until Carl gets back to the street, I think. Just with his celerity passive enhanced speed, he makes a bolt for the door and heads straight for his prepaid taxi.
Yeah. Where to, pal?
Italo.
Okay, meanwhile, I'm back at the Italo.
Schnell!
What are you, boy? Meanwhile, back at the Italo. Anna, during your time at the Italo waiting for your boys, you have noticed the Anarchs are getting increasingly heated. They're starting to bring their fists down on the table in agreement at certain points, all very Germanic in their way of manner of consensus. At one point, Reinhard stands up, raises his fist, and they all just bring their fists down on the table. There's much laughter. You think that they are geeing themselves up for some great movement. Masha is making some very concerned looks over towards them, but the Kine here are really not giving any kind of care. There's plenty of people who are having a good time and smashing glasses and bringing their fists down on tables tonight. Dieter seems more concerned right now with drinking his alcoholic vitae.
Yeah, I'm also concerned with drinking vitae, but not particularly the alcoholic kind. I want to keep whatever faculties I have on me with the situation that's going on around me. You know, can possibly leave me with. I want to keep all of them straight.
You happen to see Bruno. It's always difficult to miss Bruno, to be fair. Force his way in through the door. The club is now at capacity, but he forces his way in. He stands about a foot taller than any of the other mortals in attendance.
Well, as soon as I see him, I will immediately go out to try and meet him. Halfway or anything like that, as soon as possible.
He actually, as soon as he gets to you, he grabs you in a bear hug and squeezes you. Mutter, we were so worried something might have happened to you.
Me too. Are you all here? Is everyone here?
Well, Friedrich is back at the apartment still. The rest of us are here.
Why did you leave him in there?
He's catatonic, Muta. He would have been no use. The car. You understand? We've urgent. We've been trying to serve you, and at this time, Friedrich. I'm sorry, Muta, but we tried to do our best.
I understand. I didn't think he would be still that bad. Um, I'll need to figure out. How about this? You're the
Muta, I
strong.
cannot hear you very well. Shall we go outside, or shall we go into the booth or around the back? Werner and Fritz and Klaus are out by the car.
I'll gesture him to just bend forward, uh, just so that I can reach his ear, and I'll say directly to his ear, um, that uh, go and fetch him from the apartment by yourself. Tell everyone else to come into the club to me.
Very, very well, Mutter. Of course, I will. I will. He gives you a quick but passionate kiss on the cheek, and then turns on his heel and bounds out of the club as if he has a place to be.
That he does.
Mhm. It's within the next few minutes. Werner and Klaus and Fritz make their way in. Seeing you, they all give you a hug. They all bundle you over to the nearest booth, which is the one Dieter is in. Dieter now getting jostled as he clutches onto his bottle of blood. I've not yet met the infamous boys of Anna van Hagen. You've got some strapping young lads here, Anna.
Yes, I'm awfully proud of them.
I'm your Uncle Dieter.
Here's Werner Klaus, and was it Friedrich or I can't remember who I left catatonic.
You left Friedrich catatonic. You've got
Okay.
Fritz with you. Fritz was
He's the one
concussed.
who beat up my girl.
Yeah, Fritz is
naughty boy.
concussed, but he's better now.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll say I'll just point with my hand that this is Werner, Klaus, and Fritz.
It is my pleasure to meet such loyal children. Do you wish for privacy? I can always head upstairs with my bottle and my glass.
That would be if it's no trouble.
It is no trouble at all. It is good to be with family. I will be still trying to contact others of our line. You understand?
Thank you, Dieter.
He heads on up.
I'll go sit down, or if there's like a couch or sofa or something like that.
Yeah. Imagine a curved couch around a table. It's in a booth. It's sort of in the corner. The Anarchs are pretty much on the opposite side of the club, just so you're aware.
Yeah, I'll sit there with my boy sitting next to me, and I'll just whoever is like I'll put my one hand on the on top of the leg of another one on my side, and I'll put whichever side has two basically next to sitting next to each other. I'll put like one between them so that I'll basically be equally in contact with all of them, and I'll say we're living dramatic times right now. You all know that the wall is about to go down. I have very little idea what the inclinations of that will be to people such as us, but whatever happens, the only thing I really care about is that you're all safe. I just sent, Bruna might have said, but I just sent him to get Friedrich here, even no matter what condition he is in, no matter how spry or not he is. I can't bear the thought of any of you being out of my reach at this point. It's not safe for me to leave this haven.
Fritz speaks up. Mutter, is it? Are we going to have to leave Berlin?
I don't know. It's a possibility, but don't say that out loud. I don't want anyone to, even though everyone must be thinking that themselves as well as a possibility. We're living such dramatic times right now that um, something like so people might behave like the DDR amongst ourselves. We might be looking for witch hunts, and we might be looking for all sorts of drama amongst our own ranks. Who's a sympathizer for what? Who's a loyalist to what? Who tries to leave the sinking ship, and who tries to, you know, go out in a blaze of glory. Everyone is going to be looking at everyone else, evaluating them in every possible way. So let's give as little of a reading to those who are doing it, who are trying to read each other.
Of course, but Mutter, you notice that Fritz is, as he speaks, the one side of his mouth is drooping slightly. It doesn't take too much of a connection to realise this is possibly from where he was concussed a few nights before, that it's had some kind of effect on him. Bruno has family in Copenhagen. If we do need to get out, we can go there. I have lived in Berlin all my life, but you are my family now, Mutter. You are the only family I need. As are we, your brothers, says Klaus. We're all family, all of us around this table. It's not just Mutter that connects us. We're all connected together. Is that not right, Mutter?
Exactly. If Heinrich, if Daddy is not with us anymore, if something terminal has happened to him, then this is all the family I have left, and then this is all the family that really matters. If this whole damn place is gonna go down in ashes, it's
okay. Eunice, this is now the random Toreador of the evening roll. One Toreador survived the events of the preceding day. Your die roll will determine which. There are 5 unaccounted for Toreador. Therefore, I will tell you what the results will be, and this will have an effect. I've got little things on what they will do if they've survived. Do you want me to tell you what numbers correspond to which Toreador, or do you want me to leave it?
Let's hear the number first, and then hear what the number is going to be. I trust you in that.
Yeah, don't worry. I don't have a particular one in mind, although I will say that Heinrich is a possibility.
Yeah. Am I going to do the roll?
You are going to do the roll, because we know how good your dice rolling always is.
Yeah, but is it like if there's 5? Is it like
Would you like
there's
me to
always
roll it
two?
for you, Jonas? 16 tens with 5 dice. That's what happened.
One of the Toreador is 1 to 2, another one is 3 to 4, another one's 5 to 6, another one's 7 to 8, another one's 9 to 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here goes. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can capture this. That's a 10.
Okay. You notice, stepping through the door of the club, somehow your eyes are inextricably drawn to them, as if something important was about to happen, as if the next person that steps through would be in some way portentous for the way things might be. It may be a weight off of you, or it may be a damnable curse. And perhaps it's the latter, as the vampire that walks into the club, looking in quite a fine and dapper state considering the events of the preceding day. Gunter Lechtenbrink, the shock jock artist of several nights prior. Yeah. Well, he was 9 to 10. Walks through the door in his finest black and gives you a wave and strides straight over.
Well, hurrah! I'll be, I'll be waiting.
I would say
Hail the conquering hero.
What number would have been Heinrich?
Heinrich was 5 and 6.
Oh. So am I to read this as all the rest are dead then?
Or at least unaccounted for. They could be staked, they could be paralyzed, they could be torpid. They are not here. There was only ever going to be one more Toreador that arrived.
Yeah, but Anna doesn't know that, so.
Exactly. Hans was 1 to 2, Paula 3 to 4, Heinrich 5 6, Ursula 7 8, Gunther was 9 10.
Okay. Well, I can't say I'm like that I would be ecstatic about seeing him, but it's good to see that at least one of them made it. That gives just additional hope that maybe the rest or more will arrive at some point, even though I know he's the last to come here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll be sitting there and just looking at him coming up and smiling. But
He pretty much grabs. He goes to grab your head in his hands and kiss you on the forehead. This actually makes Klaus stand up and go on his arms. He's feeling very protective of you right now. I'll just make a quick roll for that.
Fight!
Yeah. Awesome! He actually brings his arm down with enough strength to make Gunter, his hands go straight down as well, and he looks up at Klaus. I was going to greet her. Who the hell are you? I'm one of her boys, sir. Who the hell are you? My name is Gunter Lechtenbrink.
I'm looking at this with glee. I'm very glad. I'm very I'm struck, but I'm positively struck by Klaus's actions. So
Werner has pretty much climbed over the back of his seat quite subtly, Frakes style, and is making his way around the back of Gunter. You do not bring your hands onto me, you corpulent oaf. I was coming to greet this woman. You have interrupted my intention. Apologize. I will not apologize. I'm protecting my mutter. Your mutter? Look at her. Look at you. Do not insult my mother. Do not insult me. I may look like some jolly, talkative comedy figure, but I am a loving son to my mutter. You do not just get to manhandle her because you feel you have the right. You don't get to talk to me like that, not unless mutter says so. Werner, at this point, leans over the shoulder of Gunther. I have a gun pressed to your spine, and I will fire a bullet straight through your heart if you do not back away from our little one. Gunther is going to roll self-control.
Throughout this whole time, I'm not saying anything. After all this transpired, I'm just looking. I'm just following the scene with a smile on my face.
Gunther clenches his fist. You see his eyes flash like bloodshot. The veins suddenly go poof as red fills the whites. And he grips the sides of the table, and you see his fingers digging down into the vinyl. At which point he throws his arm back, and this time it actually smacks Klaus in the face. Klaus again tries to get in his way, but he actually strikes Klaus hard. There's a shriek as many of the dancing kind in the club actually take note of this assault, and a number of doormen make their way towards Gunther. Gunther hisses, he bares his fangs, and
Breaks the masquerade.
yeah, and bounds. There's always one Toreador every week breaks the masquerade in this club. He bounds out of the club like a beast. He's turned tail and fled. You've broken the summons that Dieter had placed on him, or rather Werner and Klaus have, as Gunther disappears off into the night. There's a fair amount of confusion, but as the Chinese whispers of what follow take place, no one quite believes what they've just seen. A few people say, "Did you see that man had actual fangs distended from his teeth?" And then by the time it's got over to the Anarch's table, there's a Dracula impersonator in the club who's doing table tricks.
Okay.
Klaus is clutching a bleeding nose. Fritz has delivered him some paper towels to staunch the bleeding. Werner is patting you on the back of the hand. So it's all right, little one. We've shown we will look after you, no matter who attempts to accost you.
Now, before he gets to do that, if Klaus or Werner, is right, close to me, I'll lean in on them, and I'll, with a very warm smile on my face, I'll give them a kiss on the, kind of a loving kiss, not just a peck, on the cheek, and I won't really say anything, but I'll definitely show my appreciation and make sure that they know that they did exactly the right thing. It's not like because he was a vampire and they're ghouls, they can't, that they shouldn't intervene. That they did exactly the right thing, and I'll basically applaud them for it.
There's the equivalent of a group hug between you and your boys then at the table, as you all express the love you have for each other, sick and twisted as it may be. Around this time, it's time for Bruno to reappear at the simultaneous to Karl Schweitz pulling up in his taxi. Bruno is just about to enter the nightclub and sees Herr Schweitz.
Carol has gone full Jim Ross. He's not got that one, but he just sort of like he's almost stumbling. Almost stumbling. He's not quite like a drunkard, but he's absolutely stunned by what he's just seen. And he's like, I have to speak to the others at once. And he starts like just making his way beeline for the Italo entrance.
Bruno walks in beside you.
Carol. To say Carol's walking is an understatement. He's doing that thing that's just between walking and running.
Tins of baked beans in your hand. You charge then into Anna's table just as the group hug is breaking.
Carol just sort of like interjects himself into the scene as the hug sort of splits apart. As probably the two large gentlemen's abs move aside. Allow the face of Carl Schweitz to hove into view in between them as he barks out. Well, it was a trap, and we need to talk right now somewhere else quickly.
We need to include anybody else?
Get Masha and Dieter, and I'll just get the family together, and don't let those anarchs know what the hell's going on.
Okay, I get you. I'll give nods to my boys that are on the move, like get ready to move, type of thing, and I'll immediately.
Shall we go up to the gallery when you? So.
Yeah.
Carl takes a moment to collect himself when they suggest going up there, but he then just sort of nods his head, and that sort of helps him. He's going to try to look as natural as possible. So that the anarchs don't see suddenly a bustling of Toreador and wonder what the hell is going on.
You ascend the staircase. Dieter is just hanging the phone back onto the hook as he sees all of you arrive. You did decide to join me for that drink.
Do I see who is there when we walk?
Okay. So there's, in fact, if your boy's going up with you, no one's going to stop them. So it's Masha, Dieter, the two of you, so that's it for vampires, and 4 of your ghouls. Friedrich is still not there, and you've not had a chance to ask Bruno where Friedrich is.
Okay. I'm expecting he's in the car or something, which is what I would have told him anyway. But yeah, I'll... Once, is there a door that can be closed behind us?
There's the bathroom. The gallery itself is open plan, but yeah, you all filed into the restroom, where up until recently, blood stained the sink and all the appliances. The last time Carl was looking into this mirror, he was looking at a bloody morass covering his face.
Okay, I'll tell my boys. Stay outside the door and guard it. Marsha, Dieter, we really need to go into the bathroom and talk right now.
Marsha kind of slumps. Yes, of course. Let's go. And so you file into the restroom together. And close the door behind you.
Now, Carl, lay it on.
Well, Ehrman was pontificating. He was definitely having some kind of effect on everyone. I don't know what, but they were being roused into a rabble, aside from Schuler, a couple of others, the sheriff, everyone else was. And there was a man there with blonde hair and strange bomber jacket and a group of people with him. I didn't recognise him, and he describes him. He had jewellery with Masonic symbols on, much like the sort that we saw at the church, but Sheriff von Humboldt didn't seem to react to him. I don't know if he was... Yeah, anyway. At the climax of Ehrman's speech, and he pauses as he recalls the scene, this man took the stage. Following Schuller's departure, she walked out mid-speech. And he denounced Prince Ehrman as having failed in his praxis, at which point Ehrman sprouted massive, monstrous claw knives of death and lunged at them. And the sheriff came to his aid, and the Tremere did basically nothing, and stepped back, allowing this man and his gang of kindred, and they were kindred, I confirmed, to commence battle with the prince and sheriff. But as I was leaving, or as I was being forced to leave by the press of bodies, I noticed the Tremere gathering in a circle around him, chanting something, like almost like druids or wizards or something, some sort of ritualistic, satanic chant.
Masha has got her. She's leaning over the sink. It's blood magic, Carl. It is thaumaturgy. It is what the Tremere are good for when they're using it against the people we want them to use it against. It is the edge we have over our enemies.
Carol frowns. Magic? You mean like, and it sort of blurs his hand in a minor feat of celerity, like this kind of magic. Yeah.
Whoa!
Yes, look. Yeah. I can't do anything that impressive, really.
Whoa.
I can chop your vegetables really quickly. Yeah.
No magic. Just they call it magic. I'm not a scholar of it. I've studied with many different clans in my time, but never the Tremere. They're very closeted in their practices. It is no more magic than what it is that keeps us up and walking around, despite the fact we have since expired by mortal standards. They have the ability to manipulate blood, the blood of others, and some say they can manipulate flames and even the weather itself. They do not practice these arts in full view of other kindred, typically, because to do so would be, well...
Well, they looked set to do it just a moment ago, and whether they were directing their magic at the prince or at his erstwhile attackers, I couldn't say. But given that they let this man take the stage, and they seemed awfully concerned with keeping everyone inside at first for some reason. When Schuller left, Richter signalled very subtly to some jacked up, sort of she-Hulk who followed her out. I didn't recognise.
Biceps like a shot putter.
Yes.
That would be Glenda Cron. One of
Glenda the Barbarian. Carol just sort of is exasperated by all of this. What?
Did you see Shula when you exited?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
No, I mean, it was a rush. Schuller left early, so she may have got far away. I didn't see her. I didn't see Glenda, whatever, either. I just saw my taxi and decided that it was a much better idea, since I was the scout, to come back here and tell all of you what happened, so we could make an informed decision before presenting our public face to the anarchs downstairs.
I want you to describe in exacting detail what this Masonic individual looked like.
Carol will attempt to do so. He had a bomber jacket. It was black on one side, white on the other. His rings, he had rings, a lot of rings, very distinctive jewellery. That was what had the Masonic theme. His hair was shocking white blonde, pulled over his head, very sculpted, like it was put together by an architect rather than a hairdresser. He appeared aggressive. He appeared aggressive from the outset, before anything happened. And he had a lot of people with him. He had his own retinue. He was also by the stage. He had a place of honour, so to speak. He was up with the speakers. Perhaps if I'd arrived earlier, I might have got more, but no.
This is a guess. It is a hunch.
It's not the Prince of Hamburg, is it?
I rather suspect it may have been.
So this is the Tremere. So Helga's plan is revealed in all its glory. Align our group with theirs. They knock off Ehrman. But perhaps they double-crossed us with all this fire bullshit.
There's too many holes in the plan. There's too many. If the Tremere wanted us on side, why would they burn us in our dens? If Helga, what Helga, what individual? What did she have to offer the Tremere that the rest of us could not? It is at times like these I wish I knew what Helga did with her spare time. I suppose as a harpy she had more information about this city than many others. Maybe just her and Shula knew the... Helga would have undoubtedly known the whereabouts of our havens. As a harpy, that is one of her... It is expected that she would have known that.
Helga wasn't trying to save us. She was trying to save her own fat arse, like she always did. I told you before that it wasn't about us. It was about her. It was about saving face. It was about what it's always about.
But as the retinue,
whether or not we were part of that, I think
the Reichstag weren't all put to the flame. They weren't all destroyed. This was a show of force. If this is Siegfried of Hamburg, he did not want to destroy every kindred in West Berlin. He wanted to show that Ehrman was weak.
Mm-hmm.
And Siegfried may still be a better option than Bridenstine.
And had we all been there, there's every chance we might have leapt to the defence of the prince.
That is very true.
But Helga, when she noticed that her own house was going to go up in smoke, turns round and says, "Don't burn my house down, you tell everyone else if you want, you know." And then came here to rescue her precious child.
I have ever been loyal and close to Prince Ehrman, as has Heinrich, George.
So all the while,
even Paula Trautschuld made great plans for how she would rise to be Primogen should I ever step down. Yes, we were, or the Toreador, we were loyal to Ehrman. Would we have stepped up when he was attacked? It's certainly possible. If the Tremere did not, one would expect the Tremere to do that, but if they did not, we would have. So yes, it is a perfect elimination of his greatest line of defence.
Knowing that everyone else would essentially turn tail and run, the only loose end now is currently sitting downstairs in this club.
The Anarchs.
There was an Anarch there, I think. Certainly dressed like one. And she was not enamoured with Ehrman's speech, and she made it quite public, and I believe she got out unscathed. She may be headed here to tell Schweizig the same story I'm telling you now. In fact, she may already be there.
So now we have 3 parties who wish to take control of West Berlin.
There were always 3 parties. That's the problem.
But now the anarchs have just cause. Now the anarchs have now other kindred of West Berlin have every reason to side with the native Reinhard Schweizig over the invader Prince Siegfried. Oh, this is too much. I wish I had never accepted this primogeniture position.
Well, you did, and now we have to do something, because we can't just sit here. They are going to be coming for what's left of us. If not to kill us all, to make sure that we bend the fucking knee. And if you think Schweizig down there is going to bend the knee, then you haven't been listening to what he's been telling his buddies. So there's going to be a big kick-off at some point. He is the next man in line. You can either choose to get him the hell out of here right now to safety, or get him the hell out of here to somewhere where they are going to kill him, which isn't here. But I have no doubt, there's no doubt in my mind that he's next. Because he's the biggest political threat.
I need time. I need.
You don't have it. Events are overtaking us now, and we have to act. And Carol's now becoming very enraptured in all this conspiracy theory nonsense. He's actually in his element a little bit.
Anna, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. There's still plenty of other Elysiums left in West Berlin for us to go to separate ourselves from the anarchs that are here. But I don't know if that solves anything, really.
Dieter pipes up. My vote is to ride the wave. I will keep my head down, and whoever stands on top at the end of this, I will stand behind them. But I'm not getting involved in backing Schweizig, backing Siegfried, backing Breitenstein, or backing Ehrman if he is still extant. My trade is in blood, not in politics.
I see. By the way, Gunther just came by, unless if any of you missed it.
Masha actually goes, ugh. Dieter perks up a little.
He's gone already. He came straight toward me and grabbed me to give me a peck on the head or something, but he came in and grabbed me, and my boys gave him hard time for it and said mean enough things that he frenzied and ran out.
Leckenbrink is the kind of kindred who, if he does not side with Breitenstein over political reasons, he will be quickly put to the torch anyway for being an out-of-control imbecile. But
trying to tie up all the loose ends now.
What is that?
They're tying up all the loose ends now. That's what this is. Ehrman's just the start. If they've managed to defeat him, I don't know if they have or not, but there were a lot of them and only him and the sheriff against them. They seem to have been somehow involved in the church conspiracy, going by the links with the Masonic groups, which means that the party boy aspect was somewhat to do with them. We spotted the Tremere in Helga's mansion. She was obviously involved also. This has been going on now for a long time.
Does that mean that the church is has simply been an avenue for the Hamburg prince to just have eyes in the city?
It was it was a feint. It was, yeah, essentially. It was, this is an internal problem. No one, it wasn't even assumed that this Hamburg prince could have had anything to do with it until last night, and it's too late to do anything about it at that point.
But what about the invisible vampire you saw there, and what about the insane illusionary visions that
Well, I don't know.
some of my boys witnessed
If the
there?
Tremere are wizards, they might be able to be invisible. I don't know.
No, that is not a gift they possess. In fact, it's only Malkavians on this side of the city that have ever been permitted to do that.
But well, look at Helga's defection to their little group. It seems that there could be no end to who their confederates are. Schuler
Yeah,
might.
well, you just mentioned the Malkavians in the or rather the Malkavians of Schuler, of course, but also the Mohawked Anarch in the.
And for all we know, Schuler could have saw fit to get out of the room because she knew what was going to happen. I don't know. She made some gesture at me in terms of noticing that we weren't being affected by whatever mind control nonsense the Prince was throwing out there to get everyone to buy into his speech. But she didn't seem to me, at least on the outside, to be aware of any thing that was going to happen. It seemed more that she left out of disgust at being manipulated in such a way. And the Tremere didn't seem pleased that she left either.
I had no idea that Airman had such ability over crowds. Where could he have gained that gift?
I don't know.
But that is a matter for another time, if at all. It is probably not something worth following up at this time.
In any case, the containment of this situation has to start now. There are a group of anarchs and a group of mortals downstairs, and we have to decide how we are presenting this to them. We can either go down there right now and tell those anarchs everything I've just told you. They might or might not already know. If they don't already know and we give them this information, they might think, oh, what great friends we have in the Toreador of West Berlin. However, if the Tremere, as I said, are looking for a clean sweep, and they want to quite obviously get their pieces in a row before Bridenstine crosses the wall, and according to Ehrman, I might add, we know exactly where and when he intends to do so. It could be that they want all their little ducks in a row before that event takes place. They don't want to wait until tomorrow. They want to be ready when Bridenstine arrives.
There's a knock on the restroom door, and you hear Klaus's voice. Morto, there is someone up here who wishes to speak with all of you.
I look at everybody.
I've still got my Blendomatic meat cleaver on me.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
I'll just look at everybody in the eye and give everyone a separate nod to see if everyone agrees with me opening the door.
Carl actually walks towards the door and says, in for a penny, or in for a Deutschmark, in for 1,000 Deutschmarks.
Okay, well then I guess I'll open the front door to the restroom.
Okay. Reinhard is actually stood there, his hands are behind his back, and then he brings them out to show you his palms.
Carl's beelining for him. He doesn't, not aggressively, he just kind of walks right up to him.
Far be it from me to interrupt a Toreador coven in a restroom. One of my boys noticed that you had all disappeared, and then one of my girls showed up and gave me the news.
Carol nods his head and says, "Yeah, I saw her at the Reichstag." The blonde
Uh,
girl.
yes, I do believe that our good prince, who I respected and allowed me to act as primogene of the Malkavians despite knowing of my anarch leanings, may have fallen. I cannot confirm that. He is a hardy type, but he has existed for just under a century, so who knows? But I am not up here to do anything other than pass that message on. The prince has fallen. I will soon be acting, and the reason I came here in person is because I do not wish to appear confrontational. I do not wish to appear aloof. I wish to invite the Toreador, person to person, to take part in what must follow. If I sent you a messenger, you may feel that you are being led into a trap. You may not feel I was being open with you. I respect the Toreador, hence when I meet in your Elysium. West Berlin, if not the entirety of Berlin, can become a successful barony, at which point we hold elections for baron. But we do not wish to go down the route of a tyrannical prince. That is my feeling.
Carol probably, he's still bloodbound actually, isn't he? He looks over his shoulder at Masha for a response.
Yeah, well, it is kind of on Masher at this point. Reinhard, I have been taking counsel with my few clan members remaining. No one seems sure of which horse to back in this race. All we want is to survive. And you must understand that after our number has been so decimated, we cannot just throw in with your group. We may believe in it politically, we may feel sympathetic to your leanings, but we cannot risk our lives for an uncertainty when everything can blow up in the coming nights and days, as we found out. I am sorry, Reinhard, if this is not what you wanted to hear. The Toreador will be remaining neutral in whatever takes place in Berlin. Reinhard's hand goes from hands up to a point. That is fine. Remain neutral. You speak for your entire clan in this city. Every Toreador that remains neutral shall be protected by their neutrality. If any Toreador decide to take sides, it will be seen as speaking for your entire bonded family. I have no issue with this. Let that be said. We will not try and press gang you into our number. That is not our way. But do know that we will be taking action. I will speak for my entire clan, and if any of them show anything other than neutrality, I will be answerable to you or to whoever else holds the seat of power once all of this concludes. Then may you survive to see the new regime, Masha. Herr Schweitz, Frau Van Hagen. Oh, and is that Herr Jürgens back there as well? Yes. He nods. Herr Schweitz, may I ask, before I turn and report back to my commune. While we have never had cause to talk before, you say you were at the Reichstag. I
No,
wonder, did you see anything other than what my own uh, brethren were able to see? We understand that a vampire suspected to be the Prince of Hamburg took to the stage and attacked Prince Hermann along with his retinue. That is all I know.
Carol nods in agreement. The Tremere appeared to begin chanting.
I warned Prince Hermann.
I saw you warn Prince Hermann.
The Tremere are not to be trusted. We intercepted one of their messages to Hamburg. Well, what is done is done.
There is maybe one more thing.
Hmm.
The Prince of Hamburg, or at least I assume it was him, his jewellery, it was all Masonic symbols. You should maybe look out for places with that symbology.
Thank you for that, Herr Schweitz. Again, your neutrality is respected, but the information is appreciated.
Carol, I'm going to, yeah, if he's at all perceptive, he'll probably notice that Carol's sort of like wrestling with himself with some doubt over whether or not he should reveal some other fact too. So he's probably going to get that, I would say.
Hmm. What is it? Speak now. Please.
He kind of glances sidelong at Masha.
Speak freely, Carl. We have nothing to hide in this clan now.
We found a church which was under some sort of kindred influence. It was a Masonic church, the Church of St. John. I saw a kindred there, invisible, but I could see them. They somehow put the fear of God into one of Anna's boys before. I think it was the same person that managed it. The priest there spoke of, or celebrant, or whatever the hell he calls himself, was speaking of bringing down the established order and establishing a new one. At first we thought this might have been an anarch thing, but it seems it may have had more to do with the Tremere. And it was no doubt linked to Party Boy and his little group. We've found a list of names there. And obviously, as you may know, all the tagged houses have gone up in smoke mystically during the day, it seems. Whether or not this was the little group of mortals again kicking off, or something else, we don't know. And the Malkavians, the Malkavian harpy, Schuler, she didn't stay for the full performance. She exited, and Richter seemed annoyed at this. She sent Glenda something after her. Glenda Crom after her when she left, but I don't know if Schuler managed to slip away or not. I didn't see her in the aftermath.
I hope that she did. We are not connected by any linear bloodline, but Schuler is still of my clan.
It would seem to me the most logical conclusion that, forgive me, but you're next on the Tremere hit list. Politically, you're the biggest threat now.
No, I'm flattered if you think so, and I'm equally flattered if the Tremere share that view. As for your Church of St. John, I will confirm to you, as you've spoken to me with such candour, that it is not some anarch domain. I'm aware of all of them. I say with no great pride. Were no anarchs in this city until I woke again. Both Ehrman and Breitenstein have done too good a job of stamping out freedom of thought. But no, there is no church that we corral mortals in, or immortals. I suspect, from what you've said, and this is only suspicion, I would hasten to add, an independent contractor. It certainly ties into some things I have heard.
Whoever it was seems to be able to do things the Tremere seemingly can't, and he sort of looks at Masha for confirmation.
Masha, she says, I have not been to this church, Reinhardt, so I cannot speak for it, but the ability to induce dread, the ability to hide from plain sight, what are your thoughts? Are they matching mine, do you think? I think that they are. It would be just like the Tremere to hire an unknown party to do their dirty work for them, in case they were caught out in the early stages. It would interest me to find out what price they intend to pay, but hopefully it will not come to that. I appreciate that, Herr Schweitz. I will send some of my friends to this church once the immediate danger is remedied, but at this time this church is unfortunately not a focus. If you find yourself at a loose end, by all means take a trip there yourself, under the flag of neutrality, of course. It has been refreshing to speak to kindred with such candor. Frau Van Hagen.
Yes?
Know that, not that I am barren, but were I barren, I have no issue with your ghouls. I see the good they do, I see their utility, and I see the connection that you have. It must do wonders to strengthen your connection to life. That is something that so many of the Camarilla fail to attain. Know that Breitenstein despises ghouls. I cannot speak for Prince Siegfried. But Bridenstine sees ghouls as a breach of the masquerade. He does not like them. I must go now. My party will be wondering where I am, and I don't want them to start tooling up and raiding your gallery, Masha. Thank you very much for your time, your hospitality, and good luck in the coming nights. He turns, and he disappears off.
I'm kind of stunned silent at this point. I'm just waiting for anybody else to open their mouth first.
Masha is running her fingers through her hair in that kind of exasperated kind of a way. Dieter is resting his head against the door frame.
I wouldn't be surprised if we now get a similar emissary from the other side in this.
Dieter waves that off. I don't think we will. The Tremere think we are neutered. Our strongest, our eldest, Heinrich, Helga, they are no longer on the board. Yes, we can be an impressive show of force, but Masha is, no offense, Primogen, but Masha is a thinker. I am bon vivant, for Christ's sake. We've got a chef, and we've got, well, someone who is very good in the blood trafficking and vessel supplying business. I have to admit, Anna, you have supplied me with some fantastic vessels over time, and I hope that our business can continue. But the point is that we do not play a part on this stage. Why would the Tremere even deign to invite us?
Carol looks directly at him and says, because 4 mangy dogs can kill a lion.
And that we can get Reinhard into our company, if not our good graces. And what if the Tremere were to do that? What if they were to show up and say, we want you to bring down the Reinhard Schwesig together, and therefore you would be secure in our city? Would we believe them? Would we carry that out? It would be insanity. We would just be used as dogs to take down, or at least weaken, the enemy. Yes, I see your point. In that respect, it could be used, but not for any purpose that befits our station. To think that in one day our position of power has been completely eroded.
It's all nonsense, really. It's a shadow on the wall. It was never there to begin with.
But we demonstrated the illusion of unity. No one crossed the Toreador, because every one of the Toreador would have made that person's life hell.
And meanwhile, behind the curtain, they all worked to cross the Toreador, because their unity was real, and went beyond the borders of the city, apparently.
Well, you think you, well, when Helga was so tight with me and when Helga was so tight with you, that bond that we had with Helga back then, the Tremere have it with each other. They're pretty much drinking from each other on a nightly basis, I understand. That's what I heard. You cannot find a breach in that wall.
Well, the Anarchs have been mentioned, the Tremere have been mentioned, but the East hasn't been mentioned.
Masha looks at you quite pointedly. So you seriously wish to consider falling in line with Bridenstine?
I think he would be, as much as I may disagree with his methods and morals, at this point I feel unless he's suffered casualties that we are completely oblivious to, he seems like a formidable enough a force to crush whatever infests West at this point altogether. I don't think the Anarchs have what it takes to beat both the Tremere and the East, nor the Tremere to beat both the Anarchs and the East. But the East.
But the Tremere probably know what Ehrman knew. If they can get the drop.
That is my point.
If they get the drop on Bridenstine, he's fucked, to put it bluntly.
If we could get in contact with Siegel, who has lots of his informants on this side of the wall as well.
And what about Rosa?
If we would warn him. Maybe they decimate the West and not the Italo while we're in it.
It may sound a bit too human, but I am attached enough to some kindred in this city that I do not want them to be crushed beneath anyone's heel. There are those on every side that I care for. This can be done. We can send word to the East that they can expect an ambush. At this point, the greatest threat to my mind is the outside one. Reinstein is not outside, he is still a Berliner. The Tremere are the outside force. They are the force that the Anarchs and Breitenstein both would see removed. If we can get in touch with Breitenstein either via Rosa or Siegel, let them know what the Tremere potentially have planned, then perhaps we can get Breitenstein and the Anarchs to the table.
There is one more problem with that. Ehrman said he had a mole in the camp. And if he had that mole in the camp, it stands to reason that Richter knew about it. She could have been pulling the strings. Any message we try to send could be intercepted.
Rosa is my blood, but I do not trust her. I would not trust her not to be this mole. I would not trust her not to be a double agent for Richter. I am sorry. I would not. Rosa is not trustworthy enough. She has never shown herself to be trustworthy enough. When she went to the East, she definitely showed that.
I was also thinking that Siegel might not be the one that they would expect us to contact from the East, but Rosa would be. And,
who else do we know? Salvatore. Salvatore is the most frequent emissary between East and West.
I don't think he will be coming here.
Does that not make him the #1 suspect to be the leak? He's the only one that's had open contact.
But also the most obvious, and therefore the least likely. Everything's a gamble, really. It comes down to who we wish to contact. I suspect we could reach any one of them.
I could send my boys to relay a message to Siegel at least. I second what you said about Rosa, but Salvatore, I don't know if we could get in contact with him at our leisure, unlike Siegel, who is much more he's much more inclined to listen to any information relayed his direction. And Siegel would be someone who's also so much of a representative of his own flock and his clan that I think he's someone who is very likely to be level-headed about what's going on, contrary to, even though Salvatore is not Salvatore is Ventru as well as Bridenstine. It's he, like you said, he tends to be the obvious choice.
So Siegel then. I'm going to need all of your agreement on this, or at least majority. I know there are 4 of us. Well, Anna, you say Siegel. Carl, who do you say? We need to act as one. It's all or nothing.
Siegel then.
Very well. Siegel and Dieter nods. Then we must find a way of reaching David Siegel, the Nosferatu Seneschal, Spy Master, Primogen, the man with more medals than Idi Amin. Well, this will enliven things, I have no doubt.
I'm sure he has many agents in the west side of the wall.
I have no doubt of that as well.
Where should we stay for now?
You are free to stay here. I would have said that no one will attack us here. It is an Elysium, but as we know from last night, attacks do occur in Elysium, and as we know from tonight, the Reichstag is an Elysium. If the Prince can be attacked in Elysium, I do not think the Tremere are paying that much attention to our neutral territory. At the very least, if we are here, we can defend each other. If we spread out, that is less likely, and this city does not need to lose more Toreador. Especially now that one of us could be captured and interrogated and reveal all of this.
I also think then that we should gather every ghoul we've got and get them to bed, because they'll need to keep an eye on this place during the day.
That is fine, I can do that. Dieter, you as well? Yeah, my retainers were not in my chateau at the time that it was burned, thankfully. So I can reach out to them.
Mine are, of course, already here.
So let's get to it. Brass tacks. How do we reach Siegel? We know that he has a network that runs through the sewers, through the train lines. That is fairly typical of his clan. Yeah, of course, Carl, you have never encountered a Nosferatu before. They are quite something to behold. Most of the time they live underground or stay indoors because their countenances are beyond hideous. Real offense to our bloodline. Real reflection of what we are when we succumb to the beast. So you'll enjoy meeting him if we get a chance. So we have that, but that's a little unsure. We can't guarantee that just because we've stuck an interesting note on a sewer wall that one of his servants will find it.
Maybe I should go there then. Where's the nearest station? If they're not watching this place, they're not doing their job.
They will be watching Elysia. They will be watching Elysia, of course. That is where any spy, any good spy would watch. So we need to put something up. I'll put something up on the... We've got a bulletin board outside, advertising coming acts. I can put something together.
A screening of the old black and white movie Nosferatu.
In one night, we only have about 5 hours of nighttime left, and tomorrow we can expect the Berlin Wall to fall down, so I expect an impromptu cinema showing will be quite...
Oh no, we don't have to actually do the showing, we just have to advertise it so that they see the sign.
Ah, I
And
see.
have some wording on it that's clever enough to tell them that, we want them to come in now. Hurry, get your tickets now before they go up in smoke.
Dieter clears his throat. I'm sorry, my blood brothers, sisters. I would have allowed you to waste all your time like this. I have had contact with Siegel many times. I have to get blood from the east somehow.
Carol bursts out laughing. Is there anyone in this city who's on the level?
I am loyal to West Berlin. David Siegel is just a contact. I do not give him anything that could result in the destabilization of the West, but what does it matter now? My point is, I do have contact with the Nosferatu. I can reach him, but I will have to go alone. Masha just waves her hand. If do it, Dieter, and we will talk about your loyalties when things have calmed down. He gives her a quick hug. My loyalties have only ever been to my primogen, Masha. Anna, Carl, I will hope to return with good news.
Carol looks down at the ground again and then looks back up at him. He reaches into his shirt, down into the sort of pockets he's got, and he pulls out the chef's knife he's been carrying and offers it to him with the handle. He says, maybe you can be a chef tonight too, if you need to be.
I have learned the skill of moving fast when necessary. So, woe betide anyone that crosses me tonight, I suppose. Anna, do look after your boys. I agree with what Reinhard said. They are the thing that vampires of other clans will never understand is why you need them. But we, the Toreador, we know why you need to surround yourself with humanity. It's the same reason the rest of us do.
I'll keep them in a locked up house if that's the only way I can keep them close to me, but nothing's gonna happen to them. That's for sure.
Dieter leaves. And as Dieter leaves, are the two of you happy to conclude, or do you wish to run on?
I'm probably going to have to stop. So
Yeah, it's a good spot to end. I've been kind of quiet, but that's mostly because Anna has been very quiet. I just haven't pressed or expressed that. I'm just trying. I'm constantly been thinking, should I tell them or should I not tell them, or should I tell them? And now that Dieter told that, and people
actually, can I have perception empathy? Like when I said, is there anyone on the level in this?
Hiding something. Oh, you stare into her soul.
Is
Anna's.
there anyone on the level in this city? And I turn around and Anna's standing there going,
Yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, we will conclude here, unless there is anything anyone wishes to do in the wrap-up as Dieter descends and Masha turns to you.
How close are we to the end of the evening? Like, how close are we?
Morning will be up in about 5 hours' time, so you're about 1 a.m.
So we could expect Dieter to return tonight?
Yeah, if it's as simple as making a phone call, then definitely.
Okay.
But you don't know that it is that simple. Semaphore on the Berlin Wall.
YMCA.
Well, shit, if Heinrich is dead, then... Well, shit.
Aw.
Well, shit indeed. It's not
It's like Sire Dominoes right now. For just knocking them all down.
all that is guaranteed is these are the Toreador you know have survived.
Yeah.
And what's happened
left
to
and
the
right.
rest of them is noted. And maybe death for all of them, maybe torpor for all of them. Who's to say? Who's to say? In that case, we will conclude. Oh, and I will give you each experience. One of them is one of these experience points is partly going to be a reward for allowing me to rattle on. A thank you. This one has been this session has been quite a lot of me talking to myself in some cases, and exposition. So thanks for patience in that regard. So you get 1 experience point. That's it.
Hey.
No, you get 5 XP for this session.
Yay. There was much rejoicing.
Yeah. And we're now going to stop the broadcast. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and thank you for the 2 of you for playing.